Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new to my channel, I'm Patty. I'm a crafter. I had another channel. It was at Patty J Good. It got hacked last week. I have no access to that channel. So I started this channel so I can continue to put my videos up. And I hope you subscribe. I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel today. And today we're going to be making some things using some rocks. These are 3D items that you can put in your garden. You can put them on your patio. Super cute, super easy to make. If you want to know how to make them, stick around. I'll show you how. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Right, Maxwell? Okay, for this first project, I'm using some patio paint in the color Sprout Green. And I'm using a large paintbrush to paint with, and I'm painting all of my rocks this same green color. And I'm using 6 rocks for this entire project. Now, you can get rocks from Michael's, Amazon, Hobby Lobby, even Dollar Tree has rocks. But I got these out of my yard, out of my garden. Once you get that side painted, you go ahead and flip them all over and paint the other side the exact same color. Next, I'm going to take some acrylic paint. It's Deco Art Americana, and I'm using the color Aloe. And I'm just taking a small paintbrush, and I'm going to draw a turtle's back on the back of this. And I'm going to kind of go fast on this so you can see what I'm doing, but I'm just making shapes that are about the same size, but different patterns on them. And just keep filling in, spacing them out until you get it completely covered. And these don't have to be perfect. I mean, this is going to be kind of like a cartoon little turtle. But you do want to go down the sides as well. You don't have to turn it over to the back because we're not going to use that side. But just kind of fill in with smaller ones when you get into areas where you can't put larger ones. And then I'm going back over mine and give it a second coat to make them pop a little bit more. Next, for the legs and the arms, I'm just taking a stylus and I'm just dipping it into my paint and dabbing little dots on this. And they don't have to all be exactly the same size. Just kind of dab them on there, and I'm going to do that for all 4 of the legs and arms. And I'm doing them exactly the same way. For the head, I'm just going to draw 2 little circles on this for the eyes, and I'm using white. These are just little oblong circles, and I am just using the white paint in that same small paintbrush. Try to get a small paintbrush because it's easier to handle for this kind of art. Just get it filled in good and then let that dry. For his mouth, I'm just using a Sharpie paint pen. I'm just doing 2 little U shapes on each side and then connecting the 2 together. For his eyes, I'm going to take that same paint pen and I'm just going to do 2 little upside down U shapes, and then I'm just going to color those in. This will give him the main part of his eye. And then you're going to do the same thing with the other eye, and then once you get this colored in, because that Sharpie is not going to be really dark enough, you can come back in with a small paintbrush and some black paint and fill the rest of it in. Then I'm going to come back in with my stylus and my white paint and just give a little dot on each side just to finish the eyes out. And to give him a little bit of character, I'm using some of that same aloe paint, and I'm just putting some little dots on his head with my stylus. Next, to glue them together, I'm just going to lay out some freezer paper. You could use wax paper too. It just keeps the glue from sticking to it. You want something that's kind of slick. And I'm just laying his body out just like this. And then I'm going to use Gorilla Glue to attach it. And I'm going to put a pretty good lump sum on there. And then just stick it up there. And then you're going to let this dry. Now, when you're using the freezer paper, your glue will not stick to it. It will peel right off the back once this is dried. And you're going to want to let this set up for about 24 hours before you can pick it up. And then the head, I'm just going to put it right on top, and then I'm going to balance it with something in front so it doesn't slide off. And then let that dry. Okay, for this next one, I'm going to use 12 rocks. I'm using a round one for the head, 2 smaller ones for the neck, and I'm going to graduate down all the way down to the tail. So kind of get some that are similar in size, and then I'm going to paint these with some pastel colors. But first, I'm going to take them outside and I'm going to spray paint them with some white primer. And this is going to be a little caterpillar, and I am using pastel colors on this. You can use any color you want, but I just want it to be kind of bright for my garden. And I'm going to use a total of 5 colors. So I'm going to start with the head. I'm going to do it yellow. And then I'll graduate down with the next color, the next color, next color. And when I get through the 5 colors, we'll start again with the yellow again and then keep alternating until we get to the end. So you're going to go down to the 5th one and then you're going to paint it yellow again. And then the same thing, you'll go down to the 5th one and paint the next one the yellow again. I'm going to switch to the next color and do the same thing. So I'll paint that one, go down 5, paint it again in the turquoise color, and keep going till you have all of your rocks painted. And then once you do that side, you are going to want to flip them over and paint the opposite side because we are going to sandwich them together and you will see if they're not painted on the back as well. So make sure that you don't skip that step, that you do paint the back as well. Okay, next I'm going to take some Loctite Power Grab. Now this is white. They also make it in clear as well, but every time I buy the clear, it's already dried out in the container, so I am going to use the white, and I'll show you how to cover all the white up when we're done. So you're going to start with the neck, put those 2 pieces together, and then you're going to start attaching the body, and we're just going to put these side by side by side. They're going to set on their side all the way down, like that. And you just keep attaching each rock until you get all the way to the end. And then when I get closer to the end, I am going to start curving it a little bit so it's not just a straight line. And you don't have to do that part if you don't want to, but it just kind of made it look a little bit cuter if you did give it a little bit of a curve. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue the front part on right here, just on the sides. Just push it right up against there and let that dry. And you're going to have to let this dry about 24 hours and then you can pick this up. This is a really strong adhesive and you can put this outside. It will stay together. And then right there is where I'm curving mine. I'm just going to put a little bit on the edge of each one of those rocks. And then I'm going to paint the face. I just drew a pencil circle on each one of those for the eyes and then I'm just coloring them in with some black paint. It's easier if you kind of draw your face onto your rock first with a little pencil and then you can just go inside the lines and just color it in. This mouth, I'm just taking a Sharpie paint pen and I'm just going to draw a little U shape on each side and then one U shape in the middle to connect the 2 together. And then I'm going to come in with a stylus and some white paint and I'm just going to put a dot on each one of the eyes. And then to give some little rosy cheeks, I'm just taking some pink paint and I'm just going to do little circles on each side of his little mouth. Look how cute he is. To decorate these up a little bit, I'm just using my stylus and some paint and I'm just going to put some dots on these. Now I'm going to go real fast on this. You can see what I'm doing, but you can put flowers or dots or whatever you want to, but it did really decorate them up a little bit. And on that one, I'm actually making some flowers. Just kind of have fun with this, kind of decorate it however you want to. You can put stripes on it, you could draw big circles on it, anything that you wanted to, just kind of really decorate it up. Antennas, I'm just taking a piece of wire, I'm just going to fold it into a 90, I'm going to cut it off, and then I'm going to take a dowel stick and I'm just going to roll it around here a few times. This is going to be the top part of the antenna, the round part. And you're going to do another one exactly the same way. Now this one came off the edge to the side and you want to match the other one up to the opposite side. Just kind of shape them up like that. And the other one exactly the same way except on an opposite side where the round part goes. Now just push that one over to the opposite side. And then I'm just flattening them out real good with my pliers, just kind of make sure that they are one solid piece. And I'm going to paint them black with some acrylic paint. So make sure you get the entire thing covered, even the bottom part. Now that my glue is dry, I'm going to paint it. I'm just coming in with a thin paintbrush. And I'm just going to do a pink stripe on each one of those. Now you could put the same color as the rock next to it if you wanted to, but I just came in here and did them all exactly the same way. But it did blend that in nicely so you don't see that. And you'll have to do the underside as well. Then to blend all that together, I'm just taking my stylus and white paint and I'm just putting dots on the pink part. And then I did go back and put a few white dots on the other ones as well. It just kind of really helped blend it all together. Okay, next, to attach the antennas, I'm just going to use some hot glue on these, and then I'm going to come back in with some Gorilla Glue to finish them off here in a little bit. But just get them on there good, and then we'll cover those up and put some Gorilla Glue to hold those in place in case you are putting this outside in the weather. Taking some craft foam and a hole punch, it's a regular paper hole punch, cutting 2 of those out, and that's what we're going to put over the top part with some Gorilla Glue to hold those in place, and that way it'll secure these. And then I'm just using a barbecue skewer to attach that, because you only need just a little bit of that Gorilla Glue, and then put that hole punch right over the top of it and just push it down till it's flat against the rock. Next, to attach the head, I'm just going to put a dollop of the Gorilla Glue. I'm going to add the head right into the center part, and then I am going to put a little bit of hot glue underneath it, and then I am going to put a little bit in the back because it wouldn't set up straight by itself. So just kind of lean it forward a little bit and then just put a little bit of glue in the back and then let this set up for about 24 hours. Next one, I'm using a couple of large flat rocks, and then I'm going to use 2 of these long rocks. Now those rocks there I'm not going to use. And I'm going to paint all these with the green patio paint. Then you want to make sure you paint the front, the sides, the back, all of them, and put on a pair of gloves because it really does help, because you are going to have to hold these. Assemble these. I'm going to use some of the Loctite Power Grab. Now if you have one of these little toothpaste holders, it really does help to kind of squeeze the tubes a little bit to where your glue comes out a little bit easier. And I'm just putting a little bit onto the back part of each one of these long ones. These are going to be the legs for this frog. We're making a frog. And you're just going to turn them and make them facing outward, but put them together and then just let those dry. And then don't worry about it being white because you can paint it. It'll blend in just fine. And then I'm going to use a Q-tip to kind of get the excess off before it dries. Okay, then to attach the head, I'm just going to put a pretty good sized dollop of this glue. And then again, I am going to paint it once I get done. Just kind of push it there and kind of lean the head forward. And then just let that dry for about 24 hours. It's dry, we're going to take that same patio paint that we painted it with in the begin with, and we're just going to paint where the white glue is. And this will cover all this up. It'll just blend it in just perfectly nice. And if you have any spots that are missing paint on your rocks, go ahead and kind of touch it up at this time too. But you won't even be able to see that glue once you get done doing this. Next, for his eyes, I'm going to take 2 1/2-inch wooden beads, and I'm going to paint those with a white acrylic paint. And you just want to probably take a heat source between times. Just paint what's not touching your fingers, dry it, and then continue to paint till you have them both completely painted white. Next, I'm just going to add a little dot of black with the end of my paintbrush. And it wasn't dark enough, so I am coming back in and putting a couple little extra dots around it to make it a little bit thicker. And then I'm doing the same thing with the other eye. Just make sure that they do match because they're going to be pretty close to each other. Frog's feet, I'm just taking a little piece of clay. I'm rolling it up kind of in a little log shape with a round front on it. And then I'm just pushing it right up against that rock. This is just a little small foot. I'm doing the same thing for the opposite side. And this is just oven baked clay. And you're going to bake it at 275 degrees for 20 minutes once you get them ready. So you're going to kind of lean them back, take them and put them on a cookie sheet and bake them. After those are baked, I'm taking some freezer paper. I'm going to set my rock on top of here. And then I'm going to use the clear Gorilla adhesive to attach these to my rocks. And then once they get dried and everything like that, we'll paint them to match the rocks. And then using the freezer paper or the wax paper just keeps it from sticking to the paper if it oozes out the bottom at all. While those are drying, we're going to go ahead and attach the eyes, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use the Gorilla Glue to put these on. So just going to put a dollop down the bottom, kind of look them together, make sure that they do match, and then put the other one on next to it. And I'm not using any hot glue underneath these. It's stuck on there pretty easily. Just kind of line them up and make sure that they're just kind of near each other. Next, I'm going to paint his feet the same color as the rest of his body. Okay, for For this last one, I'm going to paint 6 rocks, and I'm using the folk art chalk paint in the antique green. And I'm going to paint the front, the back, the sides, every bit of these. And this paint goes on pretty even. You really only had to do 1 coat once you get started on these. But once you get this side done, let them dry, flip them over, do exactly the same thing on the opposite side. But definitely make sure that you are getting the sides too. Now you can paint these any color green you want to. I did go back and change one later. And what we're making are cactus. You can decorate these up about however you want to. I'm just going to put a few lines down this one, and then I'm going to come back in with the end of my paintbrush, and I'm going to put some dots down it. Paint them all a little bit different, paint them all a little bit the same. You can use any color you want to. Just get some rocks that are kind of long like this and that are flat. And then I'm just putting dots down these, and then this is going to complete this one here. And then on the next one, you just decorate it a little bit different. That way when you put them all into your flower pot, you have a little bit different look for each one of them. So I'm coming in with white paint and a little thin paintbrush, and I'm adding some little thorns. These kind of represent a thorn. Just kind of play with this and have fun with it. This was actually a really fun project to do. But you definitely want to do each one of them just a little bit different so that when you do put them together, you can tell that they're all a little bit different. For my next one, I'm taking a Sharpie paint marker and I'm just drawing some circles on this one. I'm just kind of randomly spacing them out. And then just filling them in, pretty dark as I can with that paint pen. Adding little white dots with the end of my paintbrush into the center of each one of these so that the black outline is still around the white part. For this one, I'm just going to put some dots right around the edge. Then I'm going to come down in the center and put some lines with some dots. Just kind of decorate it up a little bit, just mainly with dots. And do your curves so your lines curve that they're not so straight. My fourth one, I'm just going to draw some lines down the sides and in the center. And this one almost actually looked like a watermelon once I got done. Just kind of take your time, do some fun with it. It doesn't have to be perfect. These are kind of like a cartoon looking set of rocks. And I did go back in and paint one a little bit lighter to give some contrast, and while it's drying, I'm just going to decorate this one. I'm just going to put, some little thorns on it. The last one, I'm just going to finish it off with a bunch of dots. Okay, next I'm just going to take a planter and I'm going to paint it with some white chalk paint. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to mix up some baking soda and some paint to put a final coat on it to make it more look like a stone look to it. And I am going to paint about 1/3 of the way down inside of here as well. So that dried, I'm going to use a little baking soda, I'm going to use a little paint, and I'm going to mix them together. This will be a little bit thick. You're applying the texture, you just kind of want to get it on there. You don't want to make it so perfectly smooth. Kind of dab it a little bit where you can and stuff like that, but you want to kind of get it a little bit thick in sections and a little bit thinner in other sections so it does end up looking like stone. This is a real good mixture to get a real nice stone look. Baking soda and the paint work great together. Give it a little bit of weathered look. I'm just taking some mineral chalk paint and a chip brush. Now I'm not going to go heavy on this, just kind of get it on there so it has a little bit of color definition between the two. It just a little bit goes a long way on this. I don't even think I dipped my paintbrush back into the paint after I did this one time. And then do the ledge a little bit on the bottom of it and do the ledge on the top of it too. And I'm just using some white stone that I got at Dollar Tree to fill this up. Now I ended up filling it pretty full and then I had to pour some out to get my rocks in there. So just take some, don't fill it all the way to the top. And I poured out part of it so I could put my cactus in there first and then kind of position them how I wanted them. Then I put the rocks around them. Otherwise, if you try to cram them down in there with your rocks in there, all you're going to do is scratch up your paint. Just kind of figure out exactly how you want them and then just fill the rest of it up with rock. All right, look how cute that is. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video today. I hope it gave you some inspiration. If you like these kind of videos, be sure and give me a like, subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell so you're notified when I have a new video upload. Thank y'all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And if nobody's told you today, you're awesome. See you next time. Thanks for watching.